Hello, everyone. My name is Amir. I'm a DevRel specialist here at Jmix, and I'll be your host for today's new format. So today we won't have any slides at all. Instead, I will have a guest with whom I will discuss a specific topic. And so, yeah, by the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session and hopefully an even more interesting discussion with you guys in the chat. So feel free to ask your questions. Oh, and by the way, don't hesitate to write where you're from, right, in the chat. We'll have a quick shout out after the introduction. I'd be happy to see an active chat today. So before we start, I wanted to announce that we have opened our ambassadors program for those who are longtime Jmix enthusiasts. And yeah, you can reach out to Alex Burov on Slack to know more about it. Speaking of ambassadors, one of the first Jmix ambassadors happened to be our guest today. So Anees Ur-Rehman. Anees, I'm forwarding the word to you. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us quickly about your overall experience?
Yes, good day, all the viewers and all the Java enthusiasts around the world. One thing that you should remember, the Java is around for almost 35 years now. One of the oldest and more comprehensive platform and ecosystem. I am with the Java and Java ecosystem from 1996 when the Java was still very in their incubation. Java has conquered the landscape of the banking sector. If you go for the vertical of the banking, healthcare, aerospace, even the smart devices, if you came back to the old phones, they all have the JVMs. Nokia was working with the JVMs, so that all the old small snake game was built by Java. So myself, we are working in a different demographics. Like I saw the demographic in the European zone, Middle Eastern, like MENA region, ASEAN region, and Central Asia region. So Java came along with the very this saw a lot of milestones. I saw the Java when Java was a very huge JVM, JRE, JDK. Now the Java is very small, modular, easy to use, easy to deploy, cloud native. So the life has changed a lot. And being myself, I have written many open source projects. I contributed to many open source projects. If you want to be an entrepreneur or enthusiastic working with the community of a language or community of an ecosystem such as Java, you should be very pleased that the ecosystem is very big. Apache has one of the biggest collection of projects which are Java based. Even GitHub has 60% Java based open source projects, and that's all. And I am using Jmix and all low code or less code platform for last 10 to 15 years. Yes, Amir.
Yeah, awesome. So that's a long time to be in the Java ecosystem. And yeah, so far we have a few people who have written us. So yeah, from Kevin from Kenya, and well, Alex from Montenegro. Great. Good evening from the Philippines, Northern Starlink. Right. And Anees, can you, so before you mentioned that you're a Java advocate, right? So what does it mean to be a Java advocate? Can you expand on this point a little bit?
Yeah, it's a very simple term. Advocate means you are advocating the people to use Java. Because the current scenario, people are moving toward the more fancy projects like They are going for Node.js. They are moving toward Microsoft or Python-based or PHP-based ecosystems, and they are forgetting. They are complaining about the old Java-based ecosystem when Java was a very huge. And whenever you are going to deploy your project, you have to install the JRE, which was very huge because it was all one black box kind of stuff. So when we
Mhm.
say we are advocating with the real world projects which are now smaller in size, solving the real world problems of the current scenario, because the situation or and the world is changed. World is changing very fast. And so does the requirement of the products are changing very fast. How Java is adequate in the current scenario, how we can build a lot of lightweight projects or components in a smaller release time, which is the main requirement of this current fast age. So we advocate the people with the with examples, with the live codes, that how Java is still relevant, not just relevant, but it's necessary for the complex projects, whether it's IoT, whether it's a sensor projects, whether it's aerospace, whether it is banking or healthcare or agri-tech or smart cities. So being an advocate, we explain the people with examples, with the use cases, with the live demos, so that they can feel comfortable with that old ecosystem which has thousands or thousands, rather hundred thousands of developers who are contributing.
Right. Understood. So, um, I personally see there is a lot of resistance when it comes to full stack in the dev community. So I'm pretty curious about our audience's position. I'm launching a poll in just a second here, and we'll look at the result after the Q&A session. So,
Hmm.
Anees, can you talk about how does full stack development differ from, let's say, the traditional back-end, front-end separation in terms of mindset, in your opinion?
Hmm. Actually, the term full stack was also started from the Java ecosystem. I still remember back old age when there was JSP and Java server pages and servlets and applets. When we are transitioning from Cold Fusion, because there was many people are using Cold Fusion to develop their projects very fast. Java was the first ecosystem who brought the web standards or client side standards, and people were start flocking into it. I still remember the people were start using uh, all GSP based frameworks or MVC framework. The first MVC was coming by Apache struts, and most of the banking system still I met with many people in New Zealand. They are still using Apache struts for their banking system. Why they are using Apache struts? Because it is purely MVC and MVVP now, and also it's a very stable framework, easy to expand, easy to sustain, and then all developers, they know the Java, and they one developer can do many things. Only thing is they need to learn the tag and expression tags and expression language, which is brought by struts. And the GSP was also promoting that kind of language back that day. Plus the introduction of the containers, web containers like Tomcat, like JBoss came to rescue J2EE, which was enterprise version of the Java. So people
Mhm.
will start using Java ecosystem with Java SE and J2EE to build enterprise scale products, even though that was a huge, plotted, and very big footprint at that time. By introduction of, I think back in 19 or 2003 or 4, actually it's before 2002, the Google Web Toolkit came. When the Google Web Toolkit came, Java code was just rendered into JavaScript. That bring the room for even Google to bring Angular.js, so that people can start building every whole projects with the TypeScript or JavaScript. So the scenario starts got changed that people were flocking into TypeScript-based languages. Even
Mhm.
Facebook brought their React, and the competition started between React and Angular. They are very fancy words, and that, but the real problem was still there. That is the huge footprint of the deployment. People thought that JVM is very huge to deploy, but unfortunately, the even React and Angular, when you are going to deploy, the footprint become very big. But it's just the marketing of Facebook and Google that it attracts a lot of people, and they sway away from, because they start thinking that Java is our dad's language, so we are the young and we need to move for another. We need to bring our own signature footprint, that we are a React developer or Angular developer, even though they are really good and we can do a lot of things. But again, if people say that Java is, you need to write a lot of boilerplate code. When you see the language standard or coding standard of the React and Angular, it still follow the same language standard, same coding standard as we do in Java. So if we think that Java is, you have to write a lot of boilerplate code, we have to do the same thing in Angular or React,
Yeah.
because you have to write the same way of interfaces, the same way of writing the code. There's not such a difference when you are transforming your and you complaining about the Java and the web when you are writing TypeScript-based web applications. So that it makes very hard comparison.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the main reason
Okay.
why. Only thing I found out that it's like when you watch a YouTube videos which are 2 hours long, and when you start watching the TikTok, you feel like, oh, I'm a new generation. I want to jump into the TikTok. But now
Yeah.
still the TikTok is now moving back on the YouTube long videos. TikTok is also providing you a longer version. So it's the same thing, like people who are complaining the Java and moving to a TypeScript based languages that they can deploy fast, or they are very cloud native. Now Java is also a cloud native. That is the complaint.
Mhm. Okay. I understood. Well, and so you probably had, so I hear that you have experience in practicing both Java full stack and Spring/JS full stack, right?
Mhm.
So can you talk about the main difference here in terms of maybe developer experience or technical details? I remember that you have mentioned in your book about architectural patterns for different for different approaches. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Uh, when we are going to develop any project, we have to think about there are three major patterns. One is MVC. Still, people like to use MVC, that's Model View Controller. And there is MVVM, there's MVP, that is called Model View Presenter or Model View Model. So we have these are the basic patterns when we are going to design any application. When we define and we build our project based on these standards, it will easy to transfer the knowledge to the team who are going to replace you in the future. They don't need to work so hard. When we think about the Java as a full stack, when we talk about as a full stack or web full stack, we have a lot of products available. Let's start from the Google Web Toolkit. When we write our application like Swing and we use Google Web Toolkit, or we call it GWT as a transpiler, it translates your whole Java code into a JavaScript based front end, and it runs very fast on the browser. And it's so exciting to build a lot of complex projects. They have some
Mhm.
issues when you are going to manage your session, or that you have to integrate some JavaScript or jQuery based or Java or jQuery UI widgets into your GWT. Then Apache Vaadin, then Vaadin framework came. Vaadin framework was one of the very exciting tool which can enhance your software or web building experience. One person who know the just Java language, they can develop the whole end-to-end project. Like they can develop their models, which are ORM, Hibernate, JPAs, or they can build their service layer. Either it's a Spring layer or ESB based middle tier, or your J2EE or Jakarta EE, if we say in current terms based on session beans. Uh, then you can just, the same person write the same code if he has knowledge of writing any Swing application, or he know the how to use the listeners, how to develop the interfaces. They can just, with the same guy, he can also build the UI interface. So very small team can build the end-to-end product. If you're thinking about as an entrepreneur or a small or medium-sized company, you don't need to hire a lot of people of the different tech stack. Plus, the
Mm.
learning curve is very easy. You just need to learn one language. We can solve all the purposes. If you have to move from Java and you have to incorporate other type, other ecosystem for just your web pages, then you have to learn, your learning curve got increased, whether it's
Mm.
a PHP based, Python based, or TypeScript based. So it's a learning curve which the companies has to invest into it, and it's hard to keep like it's a you can have a pot of different colors which can make a
Mm.
problem in future. But yes, if you have just one language, you can build your whole project in just with a smaller team.
Yeah, definitely having to learn only one language actually makes it much easier. So, since we're all here to listen about Java full stack, let me ask you: can you really do full stack with Java? And well, you've already basically answered this, but
But
the
still we
most
can add it.
importantly, yeah,
Yeah, we
well,
can add
most
it.
importantly, why? Why
Hmm.
would you want to do it? Why would you want to write full stack in Java?
uh, if we talk about the current scenario, you see the Java 21 from Java had the journey of Java has changed from Java 9. Now Java
Mm.
is very modular, very sleek, very low footprint, low memory consumption, and easy to deploy. And they have introduction of JLink, they have introduction of modular. We have a Graal VM to make it hardware or OS native applications. We have Spring ecosystem, which is one of the biggest ecosystem in the Java environment. Spring ecosystem brought the Spring MVC, which is based on JSPs, and it makes a thing very easy to develop when you are going for your MVC application. Now we have a time leaf, we have HTMX. You can integrate your HTMX to make your things very dynamic in a very smaller way of development. You don't need to write a lot of TypeScript code. You just write HTMX tags into your JSP, and add some time leaf, and make your application very interactive, very
Mm.
social application, which can run very fast on the browser, whether it's a small scale browser you are running into a smartphone or into a desktop, like you are using your Mac, Linux, or Windows applications. And plus, it's easy to convert into your native applications. If you go for TypeScript, you have to use Electron to make it
Mm.
your desktop application. I mean, that's a huge footprint, and you need to learn. You need to do a lot of things. So it's easy. It's more economical and more understandable if you are staying in one ecosystem and you are using the help of the community, which is 100,000 of the people working around. You have the source code available. You have, in GitHubs, you have projects available in Apache ecosystem. You can use it, whether it's a big data, whether it's a smart data, whether it's Hadoop, whether it is distributed in environments. I mean, everything is available for any developer to build a very complex systems end to end.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So as you've have you as if you've already mentioned before, well, Java has updated its its ecosystem a lot since back then, right? And well, and if we're choosing Java full stack, why not use Spring and some template engine like Timeleaf or, as you've just mentioned, HTMX instead of using Java in both back and front end, for
Uh,
example?
yes, it makes the things much simpler if you are just know one language. That's why
Mhm,
still people who are using Apache Vaadin, they feel more comfortable because you
mhm,
don't need to write, you don't need to embed a lot of third-party components like HTMX. HTMX is really very exciting technology which can be used with the Spring MVC by using Timeleaf and HTMX integration. Now talk
mhm,
about Apache Vaadin. If you are just know only one language, you don't want to learn and other tags or HTMX tags or Timeleaf. It's like you don't want to invest into learning new things, but you want to stay and use your knowledge and you want to make it more exciting. That is your Java language. So Java is now very modular, very low footprint, and use Vaadin framework or less code framework, just like we are talking about Jmix. And it's a less code. You don't need to write a lot of boilerplate code. Everything is built in for you, and you can make your deployable or production ready application in a faster way. And you don't need to invest in a huge number of developers. So the companies can have a smaller number of developers, like 2 or 3 developers even can build a huge prototype or huge product for retailers, for social media, for banking, for fintech, and it's faster to build because everything is already developed, already there. You don't need to invest into another tech ecosystem.
yeah, right. Okay, so it all boils down to the fact that it's much easier to use one ecosystem, work in one environment, and yeah, make it simplify it in that way. All right. So there was a meme that I remembered that a coworker got into a knife fight after one of them suggested using Java in the front end. I don't know if you've ever you've ever seen it, but yeah, it's that's funny. So based on your experience, in what scenario is full stack in Java most applicable, and where it shouldn't be used in your opinion? So can you
Uh,
share some precise use cases?
Very precise. When you are talking about cybersecurity is one of the very important thing in today's world, especially when we are developing something with the, we have to apply your white box cryptography. Why white
Mhm,
box cryptography mean that your application is so secure that you are, when you are transporting your data into a transport layer, it's already secure and encrypted. When you talk about JavaScript or TypeScript based applications or frameworks, you have to do a lot of third party JavaScript or JS
mhm,
libraries. Now think about Java ecosystem. They already have provided so many integrated libraries, modules, which can be used to build with some kind of all these secure applications. Now
mhm,
take the example of the vertical. Now talk about vertical to vertical basis. When we talk about banking system, most the all banking system in the current world are based on Java. So uh, you cannot just turn all the banking systems now from Java to another ecosystem. When we are talking about our financial transaction or fintech, people trust the security, the robustness, and the fastness of development on the Java ecosystem. So banking sector and the fintech is no doubt people will jump into a Java ecosystem from
mhm,
end to end. Now think about your healthcare data. Oh, HL7, SNOMED CT, FHIR, FHIR, Open EHR. All these standards have their implementations and very beautiful and strong implementation in Java language. You just need to use those libraries and build your own healthcare EHR system or health information exchange system or your message oriented system or end-to-end uh, secure and guaranteed delivery systems like payment processing. We talk about payment processing, ISO 20022 standards or ISO 8085 standards for the
Mhm.
transaction of your cards or payments. All they have Java implementations. So you don't need to worry about anything. And the third one is your defense systems or aerospace systems. All need right ones deploy everywhere, plus secure environment, plus the support of the JVM, fastness of the JVM. So these are the main use cases where uh, you cannot beat Java and Java ecosystem with any third party.
Right. And what about Java full stack? Like, is there a reason why you would use Java full stack instead of some backend front end separation thing?
Oh yes, when you nowadays we are a browser intensive application. We are the people
Mhm.
who want to use browser rather than too much native applications. When people are moving toward browser based applications, at that time they think about TypeScript or they think about JavaScript. So when you have a Java full ecosystem, why you want to jump into another bandwagon or another ecosystem? So when you are building that's kind of secure application faster way, I build a chat box. I just use Apache Vaadin framework and the Jmix, and we
Mhm.
developed the things in. I think within 3 days we made our whole product ready, which was secure, which was following all the standards, GDPR compliance, PII compliance, HIPAA compliance, and our chatbot was ready to use. Even your NLP, we have Open NLP, we have Apache MXNet, we have Oracle Turbo for your statistical machine learning or AI or data science. Everything is available in ecosystem. When we talk
Mhm.
about full stack, we have still people are using Google Web Toolkit for transpiling your Java code into JavaScript. We have a Vaadin framework, Jmix. We have Open Java. A lot of for faster low code platform. We have less code platform. We have IDE Sport to generate the code for your web. So ecosystem or the full stack Java is already have mature environment. When you move
Mhm.
toward the other ecosystems like TypeScript, which is more famously like Angular or React.
Okay. And where Java full stack shouldn't be used, in your opinion?
When you are talking about very native applications, I mean that's option for use case to use case. When we are building a very native applications like who are running on the desktop, then you
Mhm.
don't need to go for option for Java full stack because then you have option for Java Swing or Java FX. You can build
Right.
your very native applications and you can use Graal VM to make it native executable application. So is again Java ecosystem is very much cohesive when you talk about native applications. If you are building your Angular or React based applications, if you want to make it as a native, then you have to use Electron framework or any framework which are Electron like. So it become
Mhm.
very huge application. Or I mean, you need to do a lot of works to make it OS native applications. So
Right.
when you are building an OS native, don't go for full stack. Your Java has covered all those areas.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So let's get deeper into your personal experience here. So how did you get into full stack, and why in Java? Why did you choose Java as a full stack there?
Okay, that was very exciting. It started very early ages when it was JSP, and we are using JSP as MVC1 design pattern. And I was working in Turkey. That is 2000. 1 2002, and we have to build a system for the university there,
Mm.
and they want to make a web enabled application. So we use JSP standard to build their application, JSP servlet, and
Right.
the backend database, and we deploy it to Tomcat at that time. So at that time we can call it as a Java full stack. That only
Mm.
thing is that expression, the tags and expression language were the JSP specific, but the servlets were pure Java. So we write the code for all request response in the servlets. And then I moved to Saudi Arabia, and in King Faisal Hospital, we are building their bioinformatic project. And at that time, Java, Struts was very in incubation state. It was not a top tier framework at that time. It was in their incubation. So I started using Apache Struts, and it was a
Mm.
1.x, and that was so much amazing to use, and it was so much exciting. The MVC2 pattern and how fast we can develop the application, and we are using EJBs, and we start deploying into at that time we use JBoss 2.0, one of the very exciting container for J2EE applications. After that, we start working with one of the bank in Saudi Arabia. They are using J2EE also, and they are using Apache Struts. And actually, Apache Struts was like a widespread. They took the landscape very fast. Everybody was jumping into Apache Struts. And Apache Struts is MVC2, and we have servlets. We have custom expression tags, custom tags to build our UI, and separation of concern came, and it's just start building a whole healthcare and banking projects. When I moved to Malaysia, I think 2005, the banking sector in Malaysia, the banking application were all into Apache Struts. Apache Struts, J2EE, and the container was either IBM WebSphere or WebLogic for the banks in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore. So we start working with all banking systems. Uh, then in 2014-15, the TypeScript came into being. Like people are talking about Angular JS. So I use Angular JS for some of my projects. But then
Mm.
I feel that if we need to deploy faster and with a smaller team, we have to stuck into one ecosystem. And the
Right.
client doesn't need, they don't want that what technology you are using. The client need the faster, deployable, production ready
Right.
product. So you need to provide
Yeah.
them faster, production ready, deployable products to the client. After
Mm.
that, in 2020, after 2020 or 2021, the cloud was or serverless become the music of the ecosystem. Everybody talk about cloud. At
Mm.
that point, Angular, React become very important that they are cloud native. Everybody talk about cloud, they talk about Angular, they talk about React, they talk about Vue.js, that we have to save the money when we deploy it. You don't waste a lot of resources, and we can deploy and use it into server into the cloud environment, whether it's a PaaS or SaaS.
Mm.
But then Java, because Java is a very fast, accommodatable ecosystem, and Java become modular, Java become low footprint and easy to deploy. People start using it, and the full stack become very fast. Uh, Frameworks are coming very fast, whether it's a JSF stack or whether it's a Vaadin stack or Cuba platform or Jmix now. The things have become very fast, and the innovation is become innovation that brings the Java still relevant and thriving in the current scenario.
Right. Okay. And well, how did you? So tell us about your journey from the moment um, you started, for example, with the GSF to Jmix or Cuba.
Yeah,
So
but
what problem have you encountered that led you to use Jmix?
yes. When you are working with JSF, they have the custom tags. But the good thing is JSF also have changed their pattern of their landscape. The pattern is now
Mhm.
changed. They are very much very close to Google Web Toolkit or Vaadin. The development is very similar to that. But only
Mhm.
thing is you have to learn the custom tags. You have to build based based upon the standards provided by the JSF. So when you want to move to Jmix, the things become very easy. Things become very comfortable. Then you just need to write your JPAs. You don't need to write a lot of code. It can generate your service layer. It can generate your Vaadin based UI, or you don't. Only thing is you just need to mitigate or change smaller things so that
Mhm.
it can appropriate uh, your visualization of your presentation layer, and boom, you can you just deploy with one click. It deploys your whole project, and development become very fast. But only thing is you need to know the Java and the Spring ecosystem. That is
Mhm.
because Jmix is made for the people who know the Spring ecosystem and the Java language ecosystem. So if you know the
Right.
Java language, Java ecosystem, and you are good in Spring, you can build a lot of complex projects in a very smaller amount of time, because Jmix provides you with the IntelliJ-based studio, which is very helpful, and it makes the thing very comfortable, and execution is very fast because the software is execution and the deployment. If you can do it very
Mhm.
fast, that makes your product viable. Otherwise, it's not viable. When you go for JSF, things are still easy. Things are still very comfortable, and you can build a lot of beautiful projects. And their design of writing and their design patterns are very similar to like Vaadin or Google Web Toolkit. But still, you need to
Right.
learn the JSF. You have to add a lot of third party to make it very renderable, very eye catching by using jQuery or using prime faces or using STMX or timely integration. I mean, that is
Mhm.
the things you have to you add it. But if you just go for Java full stack, either Vaadin or Jmix or using Jmix Studio, it can develop, it can generate the things for you, which you can just tweak something and just deploy it and make the production a ready system.
Right. Okay. And well, what problem have you encountered that led you to use Gemix? And well, like maybe you had some other alternatives when you were trying to solve your problem at that time. And why did
Yeah.
you stop on Gemix?
Yeah. When you are in Spring ecosystem and you are still using Apache Vaadin or GWT or JSF or Spring MVC with the combination of time, leaf, or HTMX, you have to do a lot of coding and a lot of development in multiple
Right.
phases. When I came into the other option is the low code platform. Low code platform, they have many options, but they are very bounded to their ecosystem. They are not so much open, or no, you are not so much flexible that you can
Mhm.
change something into their platform. They are like black box. You have to use it, you have to consume it, whatever they are providing. You have no other option. When you
Mhm.
start using JMix, or before that it was Cuba platform, it makes a thing very comfortable and very streamlined, that you just need to focus on your domain model, because
Right.
your application is your domain model. It's like domain driven or model driven concept. Focus on your domain, focus on your business logic, focus on your logic, and use the studio. It can generate your service layer. It can then you can render your visualization or presentation layer. That is very standard. You don't need to write a lot of code. That's why JMix is called a less code platform, not purely into low code platform spectrum. It's a less code platform, so it can help you to increase your efficiency to make a production ready code, and then you can add some of your business logic or your presentation look and feel, and then boom, you just deploy your project.
Right. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what
So
that's why, sorry to interrupt. That's why I
yes.
use Cuba platform and then later Jmix.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. So it reduces the boilerplate while giving you enough freedom to change things like increased flexibility and well, speed, of course, is
Yes.
very
Only
important here.
only prerequisite is you must be a Java developer and you know the Spring ecosystem, because JMX is based on Spring ecosystem. You need to learn. If you know the Spring ecosystem and you are into a Java, then a smaller team can build a big, huge banking system. Only
Right.
we build a banking as a service projects with only a 4 or 5 member team. That's all, and we
Wow.
build and
That's
we execute and we deploy to our customer within 3 months time with only 5 members team. I mean, we save the money and they got a production ready product.
that's great. That's really cool. And well, you wrote an ebook called A Modern State of Rapid Development, Application Development in Java, right? So you've compared different aspects of each technology, so from architectural patterns to individual features. What was the purpose of this book? And well, what are the key insights you hope readers will gain out of it?
Yes, that ebook was intended to bring the people to have the comparison of the plus the history, because now people are start forgetting the history of the Java and the Java ecosystem plus the web standards, because people thought that web standards is not part of the Java. I
Right.
I mentioned the Java is one of the first platform who introduces that introduces the web standards and the web
Mhm.
application. Plus,
Mhm.
I compare with the different design patterns when you are going to choose what platform, what API or what bundles or what uh, libraries you want to use to build your application for specifically for web based, whether it's MVP, MVC, MVVM. Java has a lot of APIs like Java Swing. We have Java FX, we have Vaadin, we have Open Java, we have Jmix. So I compare all those libraries, all those bundles, and how they can be helpful, where the are the pros and cons when you are going to choose what standard you want to build for what kind of vertical and horizontal. So this makes the thing easy for and comfortable for the developer when they are adopting a technology. Then we move into the JMix area, how JMix can make your thing uh, uh, your can energize your team to build a production ready system in a smaller time with a less footprint, so that your efficiency of your team, which is Java and Spring based, because now every Java based team, they have the Spring developers, they are building a Spring based middle tier because it's a smaller footprint. It's a Pojo based your middle tier, plus we have ORMs like Hibernate, JPAs. So that's the main intention, that they know that what are the things available for the full stack in Java and how to adopt it, which has the benefits, which has the disadvantages when you are going to. So I define the spectrum, I define the
Yeah.
differences, I
Yeah.
define and then I give the advice at the end of every chapter, that what you need to do, what you need to adopt, what's the benefit. And the final, we came into the JMix, how JMix can help to energize your software development process. It can make your team very comfortable, and their efficiency can be increased by 10x time or 100x time, because this is the requirement of current landscape.
Hmm. Right. Okay. And well, the last generic question from me. So imagine you're trying to recommend your book and maybe Gemix to your friend. So what would you tell him?
That this is a Swiss knife. use it, and you can do everything by going through this book, this ebook,
Right.
because Jmix is a very Swiss knife product. Everything is there. The only thing is you need to know how to peel an apple and how to cut a fish. So if you know those
Mhm.
things, that Swiss knife is the tool you need for all of your requirements.
Right. Okay. That's a great analogy. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So thank you, Anees, for your answers. Before we move on to the chat, I want to provide all the free resources. So Alex has already mentioned that it will be in the chat. So yeah, here we'll have so the QR code will include our Udemy Jmix course, Slack community, and of course Anissa's ebook. So I'll leave it there for a while. And yeah, let's see. So let's get into the chat. So Bashir talked about um, so he writes, maybe the questions should be toward monolith applications rather than full stack applications, right?
Actually, monolith
Uh,
is the pattern you want to build. It's up to you. If you want to go for monolithic microservices or monolithic, it's person who is building the application based upon the requirement. They have to adopt it.
mhm, right. So, and well, then he follows up with the dev full web app using only Java for front end and back end sites. So I
I think we
wonder,
already have. I already gave the answer for that one.
yeah, I think we've
We
already
have covered
talked
this
about it,
question. Yeah.
right? Okay, so yeah, I think we don't have any more questions here. Well, let's see. Okay. So yeah, let's see the poll. So for about the poll, backend dev 37%, full stack dev 37%, manager 15%, and front end dev 9%.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, I was actually expecting that there will be a lot of backend developers out there. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that is all for today. I wanted to add that we are preparing a Gemix course for experienced developers, and we'll add the link to the follow-up email. Right. So yeah, thank you all for your activity and for being with us today. The recording of this talk will remain available on the YouTube channel, right, as always. And yeah, check out our Slack and Twitter to stay up to date with our news. Yeah, we were glad to see you. We actually have one question. So let's see. So before we
Yeah. We
end,
will wrap up.
we can
Yeah.
actually look at the question. So Bashir said, um, "Have you used Gemix to develop a microservices web app in production? What are the
Yes.
cons or pros of
We
Gemix?"
used it our one of the banking as a service a project, and it's a
Right.
actually microservices is a big concept when you are going to develop your middle tier applications. So by default, JMix create your middle tier Spring based container that is a microservice in keeping in the mind of microservices. So if you are not comfortable with microservices, you can still convert back into a smaller or distributed monolithic. But the JMix design pattern is when you generate your middle tier, it is microservices oriented or keeping in mind the microservices. So that if you are microservices lover, then JMix is the heaven for you.
Mm-hmm. And what are the cons and pros of
That
Gemix?
is Yeah, that is not constant prompts of the Jmix. That's the constant prompts of when you are going to deploy for that vertical.
Mm-hmm.
When you are using it into the vertical in that specific design pattern, it's people who are building their product. It's not the language or not the stack or not the platform or not the low code platform or less code platform. It's how you want to deploy, how to you want to use it. But if you are microservices level, JMix is microservices agnostic platform. But if you want to change it to monolithic or mix it, it's up to you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, yeah, so Bashir writes that microservice equals Jmix headless app. Right. Okay. We have another question. So for a developer who spent most of his time handling native applications, GDBC, GSP, servlets, and struts, what roadmap do you recommend in order to learn the Spring ecosystem and other new tools?
Very simple. Just make it passion and start learning it. Because Spring is
Right.
now part and parcel of the Java ecosystem. You need to learn the Spring because IOC was introduced into the ecosystem by Spring. So if you want to use a dependency injection, the de facto standard is Spring. So you need to learn the Spring, and Spring is not is nothing out of the box. It's still Java. Only thing is you need to build your product based on how to use dependency injection, how to use the security. Because Spring has not just Spring a framework, but they provide a lot of other things like Spring security, which is being used by all web-based applications because you don't need to think about a lot of stuff. You are using JWT, Java Web Tokens, and all those things. Spring Security is providing you all those stuff. So
Mhm.
just start learning it. There's no fix. Only thing is you need to know the Java language. That's all.
Right. Okay. Also, another question from John Mark Santos. What concepts and frameworks should I study first before diving into Gemix? It's a great question,
Uh,
by the way.
Very simple question and good question. Just learn Spring Framework because it's based on Spring, Hibernate, and JPS standards. Try to build JPS because that is your domain model. And that's the model which is going to be used to generate your Spring, your middle layer, that's your service layer, and your presentation layer. So you need to learn Spring, JPS, Hibernate, or Eclipse Link. It's up to you because JMix is using Eclipse Link as a JPA implementation. Plus, you need to learn the Vaadin, and that can help you to change some of your UI presentation layer when you are generating by using JMix Studio.
Yeah, great answers. Right. Cool. All right. So I think that is all for today. We don't have any more questions. So yeah, we were glad to see everyone. Thank you, Anees, for your answers.
The pleasure
And
is mine.
yeah, take care and bye.
Bye bye.